It is the 18th of October. The time between the beginning of the year and the end of the year.
Yeah.
It's becoming scarier because it feels like we're running towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I know for people at work and whatnot now, it's like, have you fulfilled your KPIs? You said you're going to give us this. Have you given it yet?
Yeah.
Or you hoped for that promotion. I think to some degree, the fourth quarter in 2024 is bringing more anxiety than peace and happiness.
Yeah.
Everyone's saying, yes, let's just close the year on social media. But are you prepared to close the year now at the expense of you not fulfilling what you said you'd fulfill, or reaching certain milestones you really wanted to reach, whether it's personal or for the organization you work for? Yeah, it's a weird time, and I'm thankful that October is Mental Health Awareness Month, because probably therapy at this point in time is recommended now more than ever, especially because of where our minds go into the year. We're doing self-reflection, self-introspection. We're wondering, I thought I was going to get a promotion, or I thought I was going to get more money, or I thought I was going to create this, build that. And either life got in the way, work got in the way, a person got in the way, someone broke your heart, someone stole your... There's every excuse under the sun. It's a weird time we're in.
It is. I actually need it to be... And I'm just thinking in terms of everything that I thought I would have achieved by the end of this year. I need it to be March 2024.
That's what you planned?
Just for the stuff that I had planned for this year, that I haven't gotten to, that I haven't achieved, that is putting me back another year even.
How does that make you feel?
Useless, kind of. Like, I don't... And I'm sorry to say it in this way, but I always think of like a yearly obituary, you know? Like what are people going to say of me if I had to just leave right now? And I just feel like there's nothing, you know? Looking back, or like on the 31st of December, when you're looking forward into the new year and you're reflecting on the year that has been, I'm just like, what is it that I have done except survive? Like just day to day, just make it to another day and make it to another day. And I know, especially for me, that's a lot. And especially for other people, that's also a lot. But then you wake up and you're like, I'd really like to see myself here in 6 months, in a year. And a year is almost up and nothing.
Is there something you feel you can, even though we're not at the end of the year yet, is one or two things you can be grateful for, despite you not having reached said goal or said milestone that you really wanted?
Definitely yes. But I also have this thing where I feel like it's almost forced or pretense, you know? Like I'm grateful for, because that is part of the process. In order to receive more, to get more, you need to be grateful for where you're at. So I add that sort of like to the prayer point, or to the list, like I'm grateful for, but I don't really mean it. And I know that there's a lot that I do and I am grateful for, but I don't know, man. Just because I'm falling short of what it is that I had set out to do, it doesn't really matter anymore. I'm grateful for everything else. It's cool. But that I had set out last year, and I thought that by the end of this year I was going to have it done. And because it's not, it's like, I'm not happy.
I struggle with that when people ask, or when people say this stuff in a meeting, or even in personal conversations, when people go, so what are you grateful for this year? And I even said this at work. I think I said this in a performance review session or something. So where I work as a video producer, and I can confidently say in the years I've been there, the work that was there before I got there and the work that I put in while I'm there, there's a huge difference. It looks like day and night. Things look good and whatever else. I'm proud of that. But in the back of my head, I'm never really proud of the work I do. Even though everyone is going, TK, that video, fire. TK, this video, good. Oh, wow, how you put this together? Good. My mind just goes, next thing.
Isn't that a creative thing, though, where people keep on telling you, have grace, go easy on yourself. And you just like, I get it. It's good because I put it out. But what's the next thing? Isn't that because you're creative and nothing is ever enough? You've done so much, but there's always more. There's always bigger. There's always better.
Maybe. I do wonder how do people, because this is the other thing I wanted to say, and hopefully I get like booked for, I don't know, a creative entrepreneurship type workshop or conference thing. I want to have this conversation. I don't want to state it as a fact.
Yeah.
My personal view is everyone is creative.
Yeah.
You get to decide how you work your creativity.
Okay.
An accountant doesn't just do a budget. They strategize on how do you make more money. That's a level of creativity. Or how do you price this? How do you make sure the business stays alive for the next 10 years? That's a different version of creativity.
Yeah.
An architect, you tell them, I want to build a house that has X amounts of rooms, this kind of bath and whatnot. They have to be creative with how they process it, even though it's a lot of more engineering that takes place. But he needs to allow the freedom to kind of paint something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So in my view, I feel everyone is born creative. You just decide how you work the muscle. And I do wonder for them when they complete something, especially for the analytical creatives.
Yeah.
When they complete something, do you go, I did it, milestone, let's celebrate, put it on LinkedIn? Or do you go, great, next one? Because for me, I can write a short form now. I'm writing like 3 or 4 different things at the same time. I could write and complete it now. Someone could read and go, this is lovely. When you're going to produce it, my mind goes, great, next one. And I don't know if an award or attention, maybe I'm just not drawn. That's not my drug. Attention's nice, but it's like, okay, can the attention stop? Because I appreciate nothing more than being alone and being in a cocoon, being crazy with my own thoughts and ideas, and finding the 1, 2, 3 people who I can feel comfortable enough to undress the thought and go, what do you think? Without judgment. So it could be a creative thing, but I think everyone's creative in their own right.
True. But then when you get to things like, I don't think you'll ever be satisfied. I don't think you'd ever rest easy in knowing that you've put out your best work and you can rest a little bit, which is another thing that everybody just needs to do and not feel bad about it. But I think things like architecture and accounting, those kind of fields they have like a finite, how do I put it? They finite. So you can there's a number that you need to reach. This has to balance. And once it's balanced, it's done. It's good. With you can there's always another brush stroke. There's always another note. There's always another scene that you can add. It's never ever done. So unless you just say, look, I'm just putting it out there and it is what it is. You'll never be done. You'll never be at ease. You'll never be happy. So even though with your question on how I feel at this time of the year, and there's a whole lot of disappointment, but also we need to just like say, look, there's next year. God willing, there's next year, and I'll try again next year.
That's been my biggest weakness. And I wanted to, this wasn't even the icebreaker conversation, but we can have it anyway. My biggest weakness, and maybe it's because of the problematic past I have in the church I worked in. I can't believe we're being vulnerable like this in this episode, but anyway. I was taught to believe tomorrow is not another day. So that practice was even fulfilled within the church, that you don't go home until it's done. And Calvin and I can attest to that. We'll sometimes sleep at the church just trying to get project ABC done. And
that trumpet tonight can happen. Tomorrow doesn't exist.
And that became so normal that I accepted it into my own culture of living. That I hear you. Yeah, but TK, you can rest. You can get back to the script or the idea you have tomorrow. Tomorrow is not another day. And maybe because I'm getting older, I go, I can't sleep. It's my idea anyway. It's for me to work on. But it's deeply entrenched in my head. and it's become such a obstacle that even when I hear other people go, it's okay. Even when I hear other people have the maturity to go, there's not enough time for me to achieve what I want to achieve. I can try it again next year. My mind wants to fight against that. Like, no, you have time now. You don't have tomorrow. And I think that's one of the things I need to still unlearn. But at the same time, I do appreciate the reward that mentality does come with, because even with my side hustle work or businesses, I think that's what people or clients appreciated, that even though they didn't know that was my mindset, as toxic as it is, they just love seeing the turnaround time. Like, oh, I thought you're gonna deliver it next month or whatever, then I delivered the next day. I prided myself on that stuff. Like, oh yeah, and I think maybe the problem with also that is, by the way, I'm working on a new concept. Well, not new. It's been in my head for like 5 years. I called it elevator down, but it's probably going to be called find your feet something. The problem with what we do in the work we do now is in 5 to 10 years time, someone's going to try to follow your template, and you got to figure out, is your template healthy, conducive, and efficient enough for someone to go, I can take it, I can make it a tad better? Or is it toxic enough to make people go, I'm going to do so much better that it's going to cost me sleep, peace, and relationships, and money? And that's the problem we're at now. If you look at the work you do now, are you causing people to have a even more toxic work ethic when you're done? Or is it going to be more healthy? And I think that's the thing we got to figure out as individuals as well. The way I work, for the next kid who's coming up, are they going to go, I can't sleep for 3 days because I'm trying to either reach that, or that's the principle that was set. And some people it's inspiration, but it's like, is it really inspiration? Because when you turn 50, now, how's your body? How's your health? What's the doctor saying about, I don't know, your heart?
That is so good. It's a great question because it makes you reflect, and it makes you a better employee. It makes you a better boss, I think. But at the same time, it's making me think, like, if I were to leave right now, I mean, everybody's replaceable. You know, give it 2-3 days and you've got somebody bigger, better, brighter than you are. But it's the same thing. You want to leave a mark, right? It doesn't matter which field you're in. You want to leave some sort of mark. You want to leave a standard. You want to have built at least a standard where people say that, hey, look, the lady before in this position, Ellen, was amazing. So we hope that, and they don't do it to scare them out of the position. They do it because you were that good.
Yeah, but imagine you being the greatest cost you your marriage. And they will never know that. They will just know,
that happens
she was
all
the greatest.
The time.
I want to reach that milestone.
That it happens all the time. And one industry suffers while the other, gains from it.
And the biggest contention I have with that mindset is, I look at the people that inspire me now are more sports people than entrepreneurs, unfortunately. And for where I am, I probably need to be mentored by entrepreneurs who have a certain mindset. But from childhood up till now, Muhammad Ali was a big inspiration for me. Kobe Bryant as well. Kobe Bryant had the whole notion of Mamba mentality. And when you hear his work at regiment, it's like, you would leave home at what time? Before practice starts? And then after practice, you're still there? And perhaps, Kobe wasn't married to an African woman, but African women, they don't play with their time. You come home. And apart from that, it's just, are we prepared to let go of what's more valuable for the milestone that will be celebrated and will also pass away? And it's such a tricky thing. We always got to figure out in our heads, like, the question we have to wake up with every day is, what are you prepared to let go of? Because spending 24 hours on a project at the expense of your children spending time with you. And I think a lot of people had that. And maybe in the 90s and 80s and 70s was, I'm trying to send money to the house, whatever, and you never saw your dad or your mom. But now it's like, now we have the opportunity to create healthy environments.
I don't like what you said about African women.
It's not a negative thing. I think it's a great and valuable thing. Like,
no, but definitely. But at the same time, I get the whole male perspective, right? A man will be in the background. He'll, and I'm going to move this to a little bit to relationships because it's kind of what it is. He's giving you attention. It's minimal, but you're getting attention, right? And you one day, if ever you were to ask, you'll say, why didn't you pursue me like properly? And you're like, no, I was building so that I could be at a certain stage. And then when I'm there, then, But I just think that it never ends because a man will build so that he has enough for a house, a car, and a wife. And then comes the next milestone because now you've got children. And then he has to continue building because what he had before is not nearly enough. So it's continual, And then once the children are all grown up, you don't know who your wife is.
Yeah.
She doesn't know who you are because you have to be in each other's lives to witness the change.
That's good.
That happens, right? Look at my son who is there 24/7, 365. He has grown a couple of inches. I have no idea when that happens. So if growth can happen under your nose in terms of physical growth, what more the internal side and change, right? So I have to be there physically. I have to be cognizant of what is happening within you. There's some podcast where this guy asks, I think it might be an Indian or maybe somewhere in the East, right? The male asks the female, is your husband happy? And she stammers a little bit. She thinks about it and she gets all emotional and she says she doesn't know. I'm like, excuse me? What? And I understand how that is possible. I understand how that comes about. But and you find how many people, men obviously, have taken just that bit and have started reposting it. And I'm like, man, these people live with us. They're in our beds. They are right there. They are our employees. They are there every single day before working hours, way after working hours. And we don't see that they're unhappy. We don't see the change. We don't see the yearning for growth, for difference, And then when everything implodes, then you're like, wait, when did you start looking for something else? When was this branching off into something else?
Why didn't you tell me?
Why didn't you tell me? But I've been telling you. I've been screaming.
I've been sending you messages. Yeah. And the problem is not all of us have been taught how to exercise EQ at the highest level.
Yep.
Yeah. That sounds like a good icebreaker conversation. I think it's time to start.
You're watching before you weekend. You're watching before you weekend. You're watching before you weekend. Hey, you're watching before you weekend.
We'll talk about the week before it ends.
Would you rather have a publicly failed business, publicly failed business, or a publicly failed relationship?
I've had both.
Sorry, maybe I should ask. Put the camera on me. Let me ask you, because this is for you guys as well. Would you rather have a publicly failed business or publicly failed relationship? Don't answer too quick. Think about your answer, because this is in my view, a very deep chat. Because business is money, longevity, whatnot, and there's family, which we also believe in. It's what makes us human. What would you choose to have failed publicly if you were put in that corner?
So from my end, I think a publicly failed business makes sense, because now people are not judging you based on their assumptions of what you did to the other person or what that other person did to you.
Yeah.
It's more about you tried something and it didn't work.
Yeah.
But if it's a public relationship and it fails in front of everyone's eyes, now there are speculations, there are truths that are not being told and lies that are being very loud. So you now become either a villain or a victim in anyone's eyes that chooses which other side. So a business is a business. You fail, you try another one. Now, even if it's a public relationship, trying another relationship in front of everyone's eyes is going to be like, ugh, okay, you get me? Yeah, so.
That's good.
I get that.
That's good. What would you choose?
I don't do well with failing at all. And because I've had both, I'd actually rather fail in a relationship than in business.
Publicly.
It's all relative, right? So even though I'm not celebrity of the year, nobody in South Africa knows who Ellen is or who her ex is. But in the little circle, people knew. And people would ask, what happened? I'm like, what did he say? No, he said, I was like, exactly what he said, that's it. And I didn't care enough to fix it, because I just think that people's, with business, there's facts. I can show you numbers, I can show you books, I can show you. With a relationship, there's nothing tangible that I can show you unless there's a photo that I was like, hey, look, this is. But then he can come back and say that, well, I cheated because she was unavailable emotionally, sexually, whatever. So that's why I went out. So there's always a back and forth. With a business, it's a definite thing. I'd rather fail with a relationship because it doesn't really matter. It hurts, but it doesn't really matter in the end. With a business, once you've shown people what it is exactly that caused the failure, you almost celebrate it for it, because you can actually start you can branch out from that failure. People want to talk to you. How did it go wrong? Where did it go wrong? Etc., etc., etc. What did you learn? And now you're doing talks about a failure. Nobody's asking me to come through and talk about a failed marriage. Nobody cares. It's you. You failed. Your family looks at you. You failed. The world looks at you. You failed. The church looks at you. You failed. But business, people always look at it and be like, well, how do you learn from it and grow?
This topic is so good. Because I had to ask my colleagues as well, like, what would you choose between a publicly failed business or a relationship? They both said relationship because I don't want my money to be messed with. And I hear what you're saying. I think to some degree, both options reflect the ranking of your value system.
Okay, yeah.
And unfortunately, whatever one you choose, you'll be judged by the other group.
Yeah.
So if you choose relationships, they'll go, but nigga, you're going to be homeless.
Yes.
Yeah, let's have your successful marriage, and you can't can't have a 3-bedroom house, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, you got so much money, but no one loves you. So there's two very extremes, and to some people you can't marry the two. To others, they should be able to coexist. On my end, I think I'd have a publicly failed business. Because I think anything you can create again.
Yeah.
And do better. With relationships, the core of who we are as humans need us to be interdependent. I know everyone, especially in this era of 2024, I'm a independent woman, I'm a self-made man. And I don't think we realize how destructive that mentality is. To think you do everything by yourself. You think you do everything by yourself. Okay, let's take all the people away. Let's take all the people around you away from you.
Yeah.
For a week. Let's see if you can still function mentally, and you can still perform at the level you think you're performing at.
Yeah.
You'll crumble. And with that being said, I think it's probably better to have a publicly failed business. Like, I lost money. I'm in debt. I went from Houghton, Santa in New York, and I'm back in Tembisa. That's okay. Versus, you don't know how to relationship. What do you think happens on the next first date? It should come naturally, because by community, we taught how to relate, how to respect, how to love, how to show affection. You don't know how to do that, and that's where our psyches go. Listen, social media is a stupid space.
Yeah.
And because it's a stupid space, we forget all of those little notions or... And I'm also thinking about the Haley and what's the guy's name? DG, whatnot. Looking at looking at how they're handling their breakup. Like it's weird. This is relationships. You can't. There's some stuff you don't bring to the surface.
Yeah.
Because it's between you and the person you were once one with.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Look, it's also like, for example, what you're saying, TK, about relationships. Even after 20 years, people are still saying on, I don't know if you've seen Eric Benet's TikTok, people are still writing, oh my God, you're so fine, but you fumbled heli. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now you can't move away from that situation.
Yeah. Yep.
But if you, for example, look at Steve Jobs, who's had, failures in business publicly, but he was able to, recover and become an icon. People don't look at his failures that much, but they take it as if like it's a fuel to get you where you are or where he was. So I'd still choose a publicly failed business. Yeah.
Let me make this a little bit easier for you. Tembele, do you have children?
No, I do not.
Not that you know of all.
No, none at all.
Okay.
Guys, Americans are watching this. Listen, we are not like you guys. We actually know our kids. Okay, cool. We know our kids, and we just have problematic men in society we need to address. But yeah, go.
Would you win at being a parent, or would you win in business?
Being a parent.
And you see, so that is a quick thing with relationships, because parenting is also a relationship, right? It's the same thing.
Business is also a relationship, one could argue.
True. Because there's this I would rather not have guilt from being a bad parent or an absent parent or whatever than to have a thriving business. Yeah. My daughter got hurt when she was young. It was out of my hands, I watched it happening, and she's got a scar across her face. I can't, even today, I still can't move on from that. She jokes sometimes, she's like, yeah, but then as a mother, how do you feel? Just to get me into that place, right?
Damn.
And man, it hits deep, deep, deep. Even when things are okay, you keep on asking, am I fulfilling everything that I need to? Yeah. In the homestead. Business, you can get people in. You can't get another mother unless, even as Tembu, it's not the same thing. It's just you. They've got core memories that have to do with you.
But I guess also everyone's answer, and hopefully I have enough time to feature all you guys' answers in this, but I guess people's traumas also affect how this question is answered. Because some people have been without money to the degree that they ended up homeless.
Yeah.
Or to the degree that they saw their father can't do anything and now their whole family's homeless.
Yeah.
And I can fully understand why someone would choose the business over the relationship. I just feel the publicly failed relationship carries so much value to who you are as a person. Because unfortunately in our subconscious, if you have a publicly failed relationship, our subconscious is going, if you don't know how to relationship or community, at some point in time, you're going to get rid of me.
That's true. Which is why they will employ people into a certain position that are married. Like at work, your private life matters. They don't want to know the nitty-gritty details. They just want to know, are you married? Do you follow some sort of religion? Because if you do well there, then here, surely, in business, you're going to, thrive. Guys, I don't know, to each their own, but...
This was a good topic. And this brings me to the Drip Footwear conversation, because the founder of Drip had both. Publicly failed business, publicly failed relationship.
Yeah.
And I do want to say this. For those who don't know, here's context, and you'll probably see somewhere on the screen. Drip has now been liquidated because they could not keep up with... Technically, they couldn't keep up with repaying their debt, which I think they ended up with 20 million in debt. You'll see the text here. That's post, but you get the idea. Remember when they had the Tupperware conversation?
Yes.
And they ended up with $700 million in debt?
Yeah.
This guy ends up with 20 million rand in debt. And that's advertising fees, by the way. That was for the billboards people have seen in South Africa. If you're watching this outside of South Africa, so Lukau has a brand called Drip Footwear, creates sneakers and stuff. Became quite successful, especially during the pandemic, and that was my first red flag. That you're building more stores for a country that can't go to the mall because we're told to stay indoors. That was the first red flag in my head. Like, why would you have 10 stores across the nation and people can't go to malls? Well, how did that work? And then secondly, it unraveled because he had a lot of billboards across Joburg, I don't know what other provinces or cities, but I know I saw them in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
Fast growth in business is never a good sign.
Yeah.
And a lot of people want fast growth, but it's like, are you prepared for the consequence of fast growth? Because fast growth means you owe people money. That's the only way I read it. Fast growth means you owe people money.
Who was advising him? Because you know how creatives are, and they just see, like, this is going to be amazing. Like, this is the product. It's doing really well, and it's just, castles in the sky. You need somebody else that's going to come in and say, hey, look, yes, we don't know how long this lockdown is going to carry on for. We've got the money, because that's another danger. He's got access to the funds, right? He had that. And then he had probably somebody that, or he didn't listen to, we don't know, that wasn't advising him in the right direction to go. That, hey, look, hold on just a little bit. Just pull back a little bit. Let's just see how long this goes on, all of that. Because you can't solely blame the person advising him or his team. He's also to blame, but you've got to look at that as well.
Oh, here's a practical thing for me I want to address the drip thing, and hopefully you guys can put this in the comments. Thank you. For those of you who do watch and do engage in the conversation, I think Elena and I are going to do better in responding to people's comments.
Yeah.
We need to work on that. But here's what I want to ask. How often do you see a Nike Air Force sneaker in your day-to-day? How often do you see a drip sneaker in your day-to-day? The reason I'm asking that is because at the level of growth and increase and sales and marketing, marketing that they put out, you would assume that, okay, I should at least see 3 in this day. I go to gym and I get mad seeing someone coming to the gym with the Air Force. It's like,
I don't get it.
Do you not understand what shoe you're wearing?
Yes.
Do you not understand how classic the shoe is? I have 2 pairs at home. I don't wear them in the gym.
Yeah.
I wear them if I don't know how to pair a certain outfit.
Yeah.
But like, what? I still see more Air Forces. And perhaps someone can go, but Air Forces were made in 1984. Fine. But when last did you see an Air Force ad? How many drip ads did you see during the pandemic till now? And you still don't own a drip sneaker? How did that correlation happen?
I didn't like that sneaker. I ended up buying it.
Wait, what? What was the reason?
Why? It was pressure. It wasn't just pressure. I was like, surely I should like this Deki. Surely. I seriously, I didn't get it. People had it, right? My sister bought it and I was like, okay, sharp. For that price? I don't. I'd rather buy Yabo.
Yeah.
Something else. I've got a thing for South African products, so it's not it's not a debate on supporting proudly South African and something else. But I was just like, it's not my kind of thing. But it was everywhere, and every mall you went to, there was a drip shop, and every celebrity was wearing it. And
I did not see celebrities. Who did you see wearing drip?
Was it not Anile that wore drip, and then
Really?
a taxi or car went over her foot?
Really?
I think it
Oh,
was
it's
drip.
terrible
I
marketing.
hope it wasn't Batu. I hope and I pray, because that's
Did the
gonna
ad
be
go, see?
embarrassing.
A tie can ride over you and nothing will happen. Because that's how you advertise that after, like, yeah, see?
But
Impenetrable sneakers.
there was just advertising everywhere, right? I'm not talking in terms of, because as you said, it wasn't that I saw it in the streets, right? It was just, there was a lot in the malls, right? and their stores were funky and they were cool, and you want to be there and all of that jazz. So yes, but it was more on the advertising side. I ended up getting it, and I was like, okay, it's cool. Now I like it, but I'm not sure if I like it, or
Okay, this conversation is going to spiral, and forgive me if it does. Was the quality good?
with mine, no.
The reason I'm asking that is
No.
because I'm trying to figure out a way to say this in a way that is palatable. I almost feel like the buying from black businesses conversation is starting to wear out.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Lukau is the face of that. I'm always pro black business,
Yeah.
pro South African,
Yeah.
all of that stuff.
Yeah.
But now it's like the biggest face, name, marketing brand has fallen.
Yeah.
He probably will come back again, which would be great. But it's like now we are forced to go, is it worth it? Or what questions do we ask before buying from a black business? Before asking a black owned agency, what can you do for me? Whatever. Like this once again says how many more years before we can equal Ogilvy marketing agency, for example, who are the biggest guns in the world.
Yeah.
Probably, I don't know how many countries they are the best in. I know Joe Public is the agency of the year, but it's not necessarily black. It's not necessarily completely black owned, if I have to be honest, by Joe Public. Yeah, I'm trying to think of a black. As I'm speaking, I'm trying to think of a great black owned business that we're all going. But here's a great example.
This is product based now, not service.
But even brands, like, even when I watch tech and gadget stuff, for you guys know I like tech and gadget stuff. I like watching Marcus Brownlee. A part of my hypocrisy and subconscious is that the fact that he's a black tech reviewer. Great. But you go to the white version of whoever Marcus Brownlee is, twice the size of the audience.
Yeah.
Even though it took him 15 years to build what he currently has. Is like, how do we is buying from black businesses becoming a conversation that's wearing out now, or someone has to be an activist for it? Do we still have to be activists for it?
But here's the thing, but here's the thing, for me, looking at the South African context of buying from black businesses, most of it is driven by celebrity culture and endorsements. If you look at Drip, there was an influx of like celebrities endorsing the brand. Casper had a version of this shoe.
Yeah.
You look at Batu, also...
Pause before you continue. Where did you see In On Way Casper shoe? And I'm
Sorry?
not trying to hate on Casper.
Where did I?
Where have you ever seen In On Way Casper shoe? The one that was Drip.
I've seen a couple of people.
The Casper one.
I can't differentiate which one is which.
'Cause all look the same.
Yeah, yeah. But my thing is also within SA, you get like there are very good like clothing brands that are not celebrity endorsed, and the quality and the price tag makes sense. But there are brands also that are basically just clout, based, and you wear something and the Sims are ripping apart by the first wash. You get me? So I think it's just like, for us, it's just we want to support South African brands, but we are always, clouded by whose celebrity is endorsing that. And if there's no celebrity endorsing that brand, chances are you're not going to see it succeed, like, to the top.
I already decide to not invest or buy a product the moment I see a celebrity involved. In South Africa, specifically.
Sheesh.
Because the moment I see that, our entertainment industry is broke. They're poor. They create great perception that there's money, but these guys are broke.
Yeah.
So if I see a Somizi buy this shoe, okay, you need money. Now I have to question the quality.
Sheesh.
So it's different in America because that's their culture.
Yeah.
But I think in South Africa, when I see, anytime I see a celebrity go, yeah, you need to buy this. No. If you're using it organically, And by some reason, I see this is a consistent feature of this product.
Yeah.
Subconsciously, I go, maybe I need to go look at it for myself. But yeah, I can't buy into that.
Also because who doesn't want their business to grow? I mean, you want it to grow steadily, you know. So if you've saved up a little bit and you're investing into the business, and I'm like, okay, let me see if I can send something to TK if he likes it and he can talk about it, just so I can get more, you know, feet through my door. We end up doing that. Man, I think there's a lot to South African business, right?
Yeah.
You're doing well in South Africa, but then there's so much red tape and it's very difficult to export your product. It becomes very expensive. There's just a lot to it. So you almost stuck to keeping it here and very slowly, you know, growing, because if you don't have the funds to send it elsewhere, you're going to end up in trouble,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So I know like quite a few brands that are still small, you know. If you aren't the target market, if you aren't specifically looking for that kind of, I don't know, whatever it may be, clothing or whatever, you're not going to really know about them. And they're not loud. And when I say loud, I mean billboards and celebrity and whatever. There are celebrities that get from that brand, but it's not in your face kind of thing, and they're doing well. It's been years. The business is growing slowly, but it's growing. And I'm pretty sure that if they had the opportunity to really, really blow up on social media, they would. It's just that they've got the same mindset. I want it to be organic. So Brand South Africa is good quality. Brand South Africa is, you know, does represent longevity and legacy. It's just, I think in the grappling for, I need to keep, we forget that, okay, I got this product from overseas. Now that I've got it, can I not maybe change it up a little bit so that it's mine, manufacture here? Or even if I'm manufacturing elsewhere, but I've made it, I've checked it, it works. It doesn't have like little air bubbles in the sole and all of that kind of thing. We just get comfortable after a while. Yeah, and that's our problem.
I get that. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, we gotta kind of feel sorry for the founder of Drip Footwear, but at the same time, it's like there's questions to be asked and answered. I think Batu, to some degree, and someone did say this on Twitter, what did Batu do that Drip didn't do? And I don't think that's the chat or the question, and the question that we need to be that we need to ask, because the growth rates show anything that grows fast is a red flag. Tito Mboweni has passed away.
Yes.
The food influencer.
What is your problem? What is your problem? You look at him and you see, live your life. That is what should be on his obituary. He lived his life. He didn't care. He just lived his life. What's your problem with the food?
So, the nerd in me reads Tito Mboweni has passed away. What age? How old is he?
65.
65. The nerd in me goes to check, what has he done?
Right.
First thing was, he was the governor. Is that the correct job description? Governor of the SA Reserve Bank.
First
the first black.
Yeah.
In
99.
Until?
2018, I think.
Really?
A
No
decade.
way.
Actually, it was a decade.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 2009.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of people on social media are saying this man was part of the rand manipulation that we need to discuss. And the moment I saw that point, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Because there was a point in South Africa's history where the dollar to the rand was 1-to-1.
Yeah.
And maybe he is not the reason why it left that.
That was 1990. wasn't it? That was 1990 when it
Yeah.
was 1-1.
Democracy
It's a
happens.
long time. 94.
Things happens.
Yeah.
Hey, we sing Sarafina doing Mandela dances, wearing silk shirts
Uh-huh.
and leopard print shirts.
Yes, sir.
Does nothing in you go, why is the dollar increasing in my time? And I'm also thinking about people, because he was alive to see the movements of Gaddafi, the vision of Gaddafi. And there's probably a lot of people alike that we just only know about Gaddafi because, once again, Obama and America killed him. I have to say it like that because it's the honest truth. YouTube, if you limit the views, it's because you're racist. Thank God that you're Jewish, so you don't have to.
Past 2 weeks, we couldn't have a third one. We just couldn't trifecta it. Carry on, sir.
I don't know. There's just something I didn't know how to feel about the passing, because yes, he became a social media person, and we're always sad for loss. But it's like the people who are considered heroes of the 90s and 80s.
Yeah.
Are they still considered heroes now? Consider that they're living off the rewards of their efforts? And the reason why I frame it like that is because they're the only ones living off the rewards of their efforts. Who else is living off the rewards of their efforts? Jacob Zuma went into exile, came back, became president. We're already in democracy when he came back, by the way. His family's only living off the rewards.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to really shoot down any ANC stalwarts or hero or whatnot. It's just a weird thing that's in my head. Like, when do we stop the worship? Because at some point we're going to go, okay, thank you for your work and your efforts. Like Americans, thank you for your service, which we also need to discuss, because we can't be thanking American people to murder. You're not saving anyone. You came to steal, so... Who needs a devil when you're around?
Oh,
but anyway.
The whole worship thing, we need, for a country like ours that experienced apartheid, we still need something to believe in, right? We haven't yet reached the stage, like how you were talking about a good leader. A good leader doesn't go, how do I make them happy? He thinks, what is the right thing to do? What is the right thing for them? Not, how can I be popular in their eyes, right? So for us, we need a champion. So until such a point where we can say that, okay, we choose you and we're holding you accountable too. And once you fall short of those standards or that list of stuff that you said you were going to do, we say, okay, look, who's the next best option? Because if we get into that way of thinking, the people in leadership would always be on their toes. You know, they're not going to relax. They're not going to get up to nonsense and all of that jazz. So I don't know, man. I don't have enough information or opinion as to the manipulation and all of that jazz. I just felt like he was the least controversial person of his time.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I give you that.
Can't we go on that? Like, isn't that good enough? Like, actually, hold on. That is never good enough. You can't subpar and then say, hey, but at least I didn't steal, kill. I just did.
Yeah, because now we need to bring Shabir Shaik to the stand.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both in the same field.
Amen.
And that's my concern. Are we celebrating people who were okay with seeing a country suffer? And maybe he came to his senses before he retired.
Yeah.
Great. We have to deal with the consequences of the decades you spent doing what you did.
But you know, for me, when it comes to Tito, right? Like, first of all, with politicians, I understand they're politicians, whether you like it or not, whether you like them as a person or not.
Yeah.
So there was a time before he became a finance minister, and his views on what the ANC was doing were very much of critical. Like, criticizing how everything was being run by the ANC and everything like that, and was very vocal about it. He was not shy about it. But then when he got into that position to change what was happening, he defaulted, basically. He went straight to the machine and became part of the machine. And then when he got out, he was now a Twitter chef, you know what I'm saying? And not actually, standing up for the people that he was standing up for before that. So I felt for me that was a very hypocritical stance on him, But other than that, he was just a nice person.
It's literally being, I guess, an abuser in a relationship. And then 10 years down the line, you realize, I shouldn't be doing this anymore. Let me write a book about why this should not be happening. And now you're an activist and a spokesperson for why GBV is wrong. That's what I feel with Tito. It's not that I have complete disregard or disrespect, but it's like, but you're rewarded for your work. Your signature's on our notes. To this day, there are notes running around in the country with your signature on it. And you also devalued it against the dollar. The same dollar that Gaddafi said, something's wrong here because we have the resources that they need. You had so much time to work on that. As the most richest province, country, whatever, in the continent, you had so much time to go, something's wrong. How do we fix this? What's the 3-decade plan? Who do we rule out? All these questions that you could just get people to go find a solution for us to get. Like the same way we're trying to figure out how do you become a united continent. You don't just become a united continent overnight. It's in the first 5 to 10 years, you become quarters. And the next 20 to 30 years, you become halves. And maybe 50 to 100, you become one. Like, where was that thought process in trying to be a thought leader for progress for your own people? That's why I don't know, should he be rewarded for what he did? Or should we just say the Twitter chef has died? Let's not talk about him being a minister.
Sure.
Because in my head, the day God says, I need to pull your card, I want everyone to be able to go, okay, but he wanted to make sure creatives get what they want. That people are seen. That the idea of, I don't know, poverty or abuse, whatever my heart is inclined to at that time, there was at least 3 steps taken forward.
I don't know, because you've got to give credit where credit is due, but what you're saying is that all of that was for naught, right? He was just there. He was a face, and behind the scenes, he was just as bad as the rest of them. And that is scary for me. That is really scary for me. I don't. Also, the black person in me is sort of like you don't speak ill of the dead kind of thing, and I'm just like, it's a little bit too late now. There are people that are alive and walking that we should be saying, hey, we see what you did then. We see what you gained out of your tenure in Parliament or wherever it is, in the business and wherever. You need to be accountable for that.
This is the biggest issue when the thing you're fighting for becomes your brand.
Okay.
And that's all you stand by. So there's some people who are like, oh, I was abused. I'm creating an example. I was abused. This is my story. This is how I came out of it. I'm going to create an organization for all these women. Why did you need to create an organization? Like, it's your story. And you succeeded. People are going to be inspired by your story. You register an organization because you think this is not addressed enough. Fine. But now this is all you do. And 20 years pass and you've healed 15 years ago. What do you think happens? What do you think your temptations are after you healed?
Sure, but TK, who hurt you this week?
No, it's just like you don't think you'll be tempted after you've healed?
Oh no, definitely. You have to keep that coin.
Exactly.
You have to keep the coin. You have to remind yourself.
Even though half of the people who've experienced your trauma at that time are going, I need to team up with you. I see this. I have
Yeah.
a story. I have whatever. And then 20 years down the line, you have $20 million in your account. You've healed. You've gone to therapy. You got money in your account. Now
Jesus is
you don't
Lord.
technically no longer part of that brand anymore. You're trying to be a Elon Musk. Because this is what happens. The founders of Black Lives Matter got so much money that the lady's living and has a nice mansion in LA. And people are wondering, wait, hold on. But healing evolves. Oh, sorry. This episode is
It's
weird.
true.
Sorry. Now we're wondering, so you're living in a mansion and Black lives, do they still matter in America?
Okay.
Wait, can't Black lives or any struggle still be a struggle without me being
It will
poor?
always be a struggle. But the moment the hero goes...
Do I need to be poor?
Yo, I'm not...
You have to, what we're saying is you have to continue being poor.
That's
What we're saying is you've got to be in ripped clothing at my door every day asking for forgiveness. Just because my heart can't reconcile with the fact that you've apologized for whether you were sincere about it or not. I can't forgive you for the abuse that you put me through. So now I'm expecting you to sit outside my door. Hey, Lang, that person is gone. They have married again and again and again. They've forgotten your name.
And now you have to be just apologetic and be poor all the...
Nah, what do you do? What do you do? You have to... It's difficult to move on because it's like if somebody says, you guys are still on about that racism thing, you're still on...
Yes.
Hey,
This is exactly that.
right? So it is very difficult because I'm feeling it. I'm still seeing the effects of it every single day. I was in an abusive relationship, and there's still parts of my body that hurt, and I still have to go for therapy and you know, all of that kind of stuff. So you are moving on. I'm still dealing with it. But also, forgiveness is feeling the pain while allowing that person to move on. And that sucks. It hurts. I don't want that. It's a double whammy because I have to feel the pain of what I've been through. And then I've got to see you thriving and just moving on with your life. And now you're a chef and it's all good and well.
Damn. Okay. I think this will be a good place to end the chat. Sorry guys for going over time. There's so many other topics we didn't cover. Where are we at, producer?
We're on 1 hour for...
Yeah, no. Let's say bye. Ellen, thank you.
Man, I think we need to get used to the fact that Before You Weekend is wholesome, Before You Weekend is thorough, is detailed, and we come to you with thought-provoking topics, right? So that was it for episode 53, am I correct? Guys, let's not forget October is Breast Awareness Month, right? A serious topic, so go and get yourself tested. A major thing also in South Africa that while we've got the bad, we've got the good. Tyla performed at the Victoria's Secret runway show, and Candace...
How old is she?
I could say, but she's young. It just makes me feel bad for not doing anything with my
That
life.
just sounds weird. A 21-year-old at Victoria's Secret. Okay, anyway, we'll get that next episode. That's weird.
We'll discuss that. Remember it for the next episode, right? She performed there, and Candice Swanepoel walked. So that is also
What's
big.
Candace Swanepoel?
Miss South Africa, recent,
But she's deaf.
which makes it even greater.
She can walk. She's been
achieved-
walking. What does the walking have to do with the
It's
deafness?
Victoria's Secret. There's
She
Tyra
walked on
Banks.
the... Oh, sorry.
What
My bad.
were you thinking that I was
I
saying?
thought you made it sound like, she couldn't walk before.
Oh, dear Lord.
Okay, my bad. Sorry,
Okay.
wrap it up.
So South Africa is doing really, really well. So guys, thank you so much for joining us this week. Remember to engage with us. We as we promised, we're going to be engaging with you guys, replying, responding to your comments. I'll do one right now. Is Ellen single? Yes, she is. Is she interested in a relationship? No, she is not. That was one I ignored in the comments. There we go, forever. Just keep it that way, right? So yeah, episode 53, Before You Weekend, where we talk about the week, what happened, for freaking hell's sake.
Before it ends.
The week before it ends. So simple, right? See you guys next week. Be safe. Yeah. Happy New Week, guys. Bye.
You're watching before you weekend.